this is your man, not your boy. Go black to Africa. So we're gonna wait till people come in. I wanna make sure that you all can hear me and hear my brother here, Jeremy.
Yes, Jermaine. Like
I'm sorry.
Jermaine Jackson.
Jermaine, I don't say Jeremy.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know where that came from, but anyway.
Yeah, we got a lot of Jeremys in America. That's where it came from.
Yeah, is that where it came from? Yeah. Jermaine. Yes. Let's see. Once people come in, and we're going to be able to chop it up, family. And our brother here, before I get into it, let's make sure they can hear it.
Okay, yes. Testing.
So can y'all hear? Can you hear? Please let us know if you can hear us loud and clear. If not, then I'll shut these mics off and we can go from there. So please let us know if you can hear us.
Yes, can you hear us? So when they comment, it comes up on the screen.
Yeah, it'll come up on the screen. Okay, here we go. Peace and blessings. Yes, we hear you. Okay, great. Okay. So, get my mic together and all that right there. Loud and clear, hopefully y'all can hear. All right, let me sit back here and stuff. We got our brother Jermaine, who, how long have you been here, man?
A year, it's been about, what, 15 months now.
15 months. My brother reached out to me, you know, he got a YouTube channel now. What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Make Africa Great Again. I had to take that from Trump. Thank you, Donald Trump.
You've been here a year. How did you find yourself here in South Africa?
Well, honestly, my wife, she is South African. So I met her in America, as you know, and just being in America and going, you know, just I had been falsely arrested and I had a lot of trauma from America that I really wanted to come back home. And you know, I was watching people like yourself. You know, when I first watched your video when you was going to Ethiopia and doing all those different things and just opened my mind. And then I was seeing the Wadamayas. And so, you know, when I started digging and then when my wife was showing me how beautiful South Africa is, which it is, South Africa is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Especially from Chicago, you know, there's no comparison.
You
right?
From Chicago?
Chicago, Illinois.
Chi-town?
Yes.
Woo, okay, all right.
Yeah, Windy City. Yeah, it's cold out there. So that's what pushed me to come here with my wife because it's just, I felt like there was more opportunities and I felt like I wouldn't deal with so much racism as I was dealing with in America.
You know, me and you had talked and you even showed me the newspaper articles where you were falsely arrested.
Yes, sir.
Please, and that created a fear in you that you could not even sleep right. You couldn't walk the streets without being falsely accused and pointed out by somebody that it just destroyed your life.
Yes.
Share with the people, man, what happened with that situation, because you got these newspaper articles to back up your story, but share with the people what happened there in damn Erica.
Damn Erica. So to make a long story short and a short story long, this was in West Palm Beach. I was living in West Palm Beach at the time, and I went to a dealership, and the people were just looking at me weird, and I felt the energy. As soon as I went to the dealership, I was like, I messaged my friend, because she had just bought an Audi A4, and she brought it from another dealership, but it was the same brand, and she wanted to see if this one was cheaper, so she wanted me to check it out. So I left there, and I said, yo, those people were looking at me weird, yo. I mean, I didn't feel comfortable up there, right? So I ended up getting arrested while at work. They came and arrested me at work because they had my license plates. Because remember, I drove there. So they had my license plates. They were able to track me, and they arrested me at work for Grand Theft Auto. There was a brother, unfortunately, who had stolen 2 car keys and 1 vehicle. It was a Porsche Panamera, one of those cars. He had stolen the car, and make a long story short, they thought it was me. They interrogated me. I told them I was at work.
You told him I was at work.
I was at work.
You got an alibi.
I got an alibi.
Yeah.
Go holler at my job. But
yeah.
They didn't want to take my advice. They arrested me, hit me with Grand Theft Auto, and because it was this big dealership in West Palm Beach, it was a prominent dealership that sold Rolls Royces, Porsches. So like the police were taking it serious.
And they actually had a video or a photo of the guy, and you know, was there any resemblance you thought that how you kind of looked like the guy or not?
The only resemblance was that we both were light skinned, but
Yeah.
I was clearly taller than him because I'm
Yeah.
6'3".
Yeah.
And the guy was shorter. That was it. Just the same complexion. We had different hairstyles at the time. He had a low cut. I had a little fro, mini fro, but they couldn't see. All they saw was our complexion.
The color. You got arrested, man, and what happened there when you got there? You got to see the judge, whatever. How did that happen?
Well, let me tell you the funny part. When I was being interrogated, I'm literally lost. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? You know what I mean? Like, yo,
Yeah.
they interrogated me for hours. Admit, we know you did it. We know you did it. So finally, when they saw they wasn't breaking me, they said, we're gonna come back with to something that's gonna make you confess to this. They came in the room smiling, the two investigators, and they slid the picture of the guy in front of me and say, we got you on camera. I said, oh, I looked at it. I said, y'all think this is me? They said, we know it's you. I laughed. I said, yo, I'm done talking to both of you. Take me downtown. Take me to the precinct. And before I left, I said, I'm going to sue you guys. Because, and so they locked me up for six months.
No, hold up. Let's stop right there. They locked you up for 6 months.
6 months.
Why weren't you able to get out? I mean, did they give you bail or anything?
No, they didn't give me bail because this was a high profile case.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was just a crazy situation because I was like, you know, I was pretty much guilty until I had to prove my innocence.
Now, hold up now. See, damn Erica says you're innocent till proven guilty. You go through interrogation, they take you down, and they, because of a high profile case, you had to sit in jail for 6 months.
6 months.
Now, y'all see, this is a problem when you live in a society, especially in America, when only thing they can see is your skin color. And they're going to take you down, and you got to prove your innocence. So what else happened?
So it was a journey, you know, because the first attorney I hired, he was, you know, I was first giving a public pretender, you know, the public defender. He wasn't doing
Pretender.
nothing for me. Yeah, but we call them pretenders.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing nothing for me.
Yeah.
And I was getting angry because I'm like, yo, go to my job, print off my things, and the video footage, take it to court. They should see it's not me.
Yeah.
And they brought the video footage. The judge didn't want to watch it at the time. They just played around with my life like it was a game. You know, I would go in the courtroom, you know, handcuffed from ankle to feet, and you know, you would see the prosecutors and them sitting there laughing and joking around and just like playing around with your lives as if you don't mean anything to society.
To them, you was just another nigga on the street.
I was just another nigga on the street. And when I read that book that I shared with you, The New Jim Crow, Michelle Alexander said that they no longer have use for us because we no longer are picking their cotton. She said, if you don't get a formal education, the only use they have for you now is to be incarcerated.
But even having the education, still, you live with this skin color. And sometimes that the piece of paper of diplomas or degrees don't mean nothing to them.
That is true.
Okay, so you get to the court and you're found not guilty.
Yes. I finally proved I had to hire an attorney. It cost me a lot of money. I had to hire me an expensive attorney. And it's crazy when you do hire these expensive attorneys. He was able to, literally when I hired this man, he got me out of there within 4 weeks. Got me out. And when I finally got out and I met with him, he says, oh, we're going to sue. We're going to sue them. And you know, that's
how he was going to get paid.
That's how he was going to get paid.
Because he saw that, yeah, there was a case that he could go, yeah, okay.
So, you know, we ended up suing West Palm Beach. And I was awarded $115,000. And
that's off 6 months of your life, 115,000.
You know, in Florida is an interesting state, as you already know.
I know, yeah. The state of DeSantis, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he's a character. What happened was they have a limit as to how much you can get out of the state of Florida. The most I could have gotten was $250,000. So my lawyer was like, we either can take the 115 or wait around. You know, to go to court and go to trial and be a rigorous progress, and you get $250,000. So that was the max I could get because they put a max on how much money you can get on certain things.
Okay. So you got paid, you paid your lawyer. What was your life like now after that? You getting out of jail, falsely accused. It wasn't you. I mean, we're talking about 6 months gap away from family, away from your job. You probably lost your job.
Lost my job.
What was going through your spirit? What was going through your mind?
Well, I was paranoid at the time. The crazy thing was that they those charges, they didn't drop them off of me immediately. So when I was looking for another job, it was still popping up, and that was driving me crazy. And then the second thing was I got pulled over. It was about a month later. I got pulled over in West Palm Beach and Wellington, and the officer, I was speeding. He pulled me over, took my license, my registration. He came back and said, "Get out the car, sir." I said, "Excuse me, why I'm getting?" He says, "You got a warrant in Broward County." I said, "Really?" "Yeah, for grand theft auto." So the same guy that stole the car keys in West Palm Beach, he went to Broward County.
Crazy.
And stole another car in Broward County. And so I got rearrested again for a second time.
How did your name pop up with that theft there?
Well, that's a good question. What happened with Broward County? So Broward County, what they did was when they saw that West Palm Beach had arrested me for this crime,
Yeah.
they said,
They attached it to
they
you.
attached it to me because this is the same guy.
Oh.
But they didn't do their due diligence and realized that I was
court
found
case.
guilty.
Yeah.
That they turned around.
Not guilty.
Yeah, I was found not guilty. Thank you. And then they turned around and kept that case on me. And then they turned, you won't believe this, Mr. Go Black. They arrested me. I fought that case for another 4 months, but I was free. I was out on the streets fighting it this time. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't drop the case, and we're going to court saying we've already been found innocent in West Palm Beach.
Yeah. It's not you.
It's not me. And they're like, "Oh, well, we have to do our own investigation. We can't go off of what West Palm Beach does. We're a different district." So I had to prove, and then I had to turn around out of that lawsuit, that money I received, which was $115,000, but my lawyer, I ended up with $68,000, and I had court fees, lawyer fees, and all kind of fees that I had to pay. And yeah, that money went quick. And then I had to turn around on top of that and pay the lawyer $10,000 to prove my innocence once again.
From the Broward County.
For the Broward County case, I had to pay the lawyer who helped me
Another $10,000.
Another $10,000
to get that removed.
to get that removed.
Ain't that something?
And then he told me, "Well, we're gonna have a big lawsuit on Broward County because of negligence."
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was all said and done, I thought I was gonna get another lawsuit, and he was like, "Well, technically, because you weren't in prison, you didn't spend time behind bars, and all this logistics and all this stuff, that we technically can't sue them."
Which that created this paranoia within you that you can't even walk the streets because it wouldn't. You got arrested the first time, then turn around, got arrested the second time, and now you had made mention to me you was afraid to go outside.
Yes, no, definitely. After a certain time, I wouldn't go outside after a certain time because the risk of you getting pulled over or certain things is going to be higher.
Yeah. Mm. Now let's get to now. How did you decide to leave America? We know that played a huge part in that experience of the hell with America. Mm-hmm. Share with us that process there.
I think the journey started honestly with Barack Obama. When Barack Obama came into office, I realized as a black man in America, if you do everything right, if you go to their universities, if you get their degrees, if you don't have 5, 6 baby mamas like they accuse us of having, and Donald Trump had more baby mamas than Barack did, right? And I noticed that when you do everything right, the right way in America, they still find a way to tear you down. So when I saw what they did to Barack, and I'm not a Barack Obama fan, but I saw that, wow, even when you do right in America, they're still gonna, they were calling his wife a gorilla, just highly disrespectful things. And I opened my eyes that, I thought we had made so much progress from the civil rights and from Jim Crow and from slavery, that I saw that, the racism was still there, but it was just masked. And then it's hidden. And then living in Chicago, by the way, my mother will tell you this, Chicago's a very segregated city.
Yes, it is.
So you got the Mexicans over here in the East Coast, you got the blacks on the South Side, you got the whites in the North Side, and it's like, yo, Chicago was a very segregated place, and it actually started there. Me and my brother, my parents are Seventh-day Adventists, so they sent us to this school called Hinsdale Academy. It's in Hinsdale, and it's a very wealthy area.
When you was a child, you was 7 Adventist.
Yes, my whole life.
Yeah.
And they sent us to the school in high school because the school we were attending shut down, so we had to go to the white school. And it was in a nice area. So my brother finally got his license, and yo, I remember we got pulled over one time late at night. We went to go to the movies with some friends. We got pulled over. The window wouldn't go down, so my brother's trying to talk to the officer and open the door, and he pulled a gun out on him. Get down, get on your knees. You know, all these experiences that I experienced in America led me to want to leave and come to Africa.
How did you meet your beautiful wife, who's a South African? How did y'all meet?
And, you know, this transition to wanting to come where she's from.
Wow, I met her in America. She was working for Donald Trump. Yeah, she was working at Mar-a-Lago. That's actually why we kind of came up with the name of our channel. So she was working there. We met in West Palm Beach, and we just got to know each other. We got really close. And, you know, it was just intriguing learning about her Africa, learning about, you know, certain things that I did not know about, learning how developed Africa was. And what she kept on telling me, she was like, if you go back to Africa, you will get more opportunities as a Black American compared to in America. You know what I mean? You get more opportunities here.
In what way? People would be interested to know that. In what way?
As far as like business opportunities that sometimes the locals cannot get all the time, just opportunities as far as you know, they like the way we talk as Americans talk, so they might give you more opportunities by the way you talk. And then also she's told me based off our education system is considered higher, so you can get a better job here and different things here in South Africa. So, you know, we started talking and she started seeing my trauma. And she started witnessing certain things, and she started seeing my mental health was like not there. You know, paranoid. You know, just paranoid. Then I had like post-traumatic stress, PTSD.
Oh yeah.
And it just got to the point where we just said, you know, I think it's best if we come back and just, you know, come back to Africa to settle down and just live a more simplistic lifestyle.
Now, have you been to South Africa before?
No, never have been.
You never have been. So when y'all moved, this was your first time coming?
That was my first time coming.
Wow.
That's how much I was done with damn Erica. I was like, yo, get me out of here.
Damn Erica, capitalize the D.
Capitalize, put the D and capitalize the E.
Damn Erica, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, all right. So you get somewhere here. Been here a year and a half. And I know it's new for you. Y'all got 2 lovely children.
Yes.
And how has that transition been for you?
It has been a little rocky transition because I think we came at a bad time. We came, you know, after the pandemic, and then, you know, South Africa had the Omicron, and they had that other strand, so we went through another lockdown, and it was just hard because a lot of people were unemployed here, so trying to find work was kind of difficult on our part. And then the banks, I thought me having my, that's how ignorant I was. I thought with my American bank accounts that I would be able to come out here and get loans and get a car loan and get these certain things. And it's like, they're like, no, we don't. South Africa is very Europeanized.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So America doesn't have as much weight, you know, in this country. So the transition was kind of difficult because of the pandemic, and, you know, we didn't get as much family support as we thought we were going to get, because a lot of people were affected by the pandemic, you found people here kind of wanting money. And, you know, so we just weren't getting a lot of support as we thought we were going to get. And it was a rough transition, to be honest with you. It was a rough transition. It was very rough.
Yeah. So did you wind up getting a job, your wife get a job, or how did y'all play that? I mean, how did you prepare financially, or how was that, you know, because I'm quite sure people are interested in, wow, he made this move, you know, and You know, he didn't have the family support and all that right there. How were y'all able to sustain yourselves?
Well, luckily we came out here, we saved up a little decent amount of money, not a lot, but
Yeah.
it was enough to sustain us. And my wife and me both were looking for a job, and it was hard because you know, it was just hard. It was a hard thing because my wife, her name on paper is Irene, but we call her Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
So on paper, you know, when they would see Irene, they would assume she's a white woman, and the way she talks, you know, she speaks, she doesn't have that you know, accent. So she got a job, and then when she went in with her dreadlocks, we have dreadlocks. You know, they were kind of taken aback, and then they ended up taking the job back from her. And it was just a lot of different things. And, you know, she was trying to, the plan was she was going to work with her aunt who owned a hair salon. But her aunt, they didn't talk about prices and play. And her aunt barely wanted to pay her anything. And so we couldn't do that because it was going to cost us more money to get to the salon. So it was just one thing after the other. But, you know, now my wife has found a job. Now we're getting, you know, we have our YouTube channel, so we're making a little money off of that. And, you know, and I do little things where I teach people's kids English and do little jobs, you know, side jobs, and try to do my part to help out. Because, you know, at the end of the day, I like the peace that I have here more than I have more peace here than what I had in America.
Being from the past experiences and seeing all the traumatic experience that you had, comparing those two, that we had talked earlier about, even the experience with police officers are friendlier.
Definitely.
You don't have that problem that we have there in America.
Definitely.
Share with the comparison, because I've said that South Africa to me is just like America. I mean, what is your view, your opinion of how South Africa is compared to America?
Well, as far as development, is very developed like America, as you're saying. It's very westernized as far as, you know, you don't really see a lot of people in their African attire. You know, I was surprised on how much they love our American brands, Jordans, whatever. You see everything that you see here, clothes, malls, shopping centers, is very developed here in South Africa. But the difference is between America and South Africa is, as you just mentioned, the police. The police is not, it's just a completely different situation. The police here, if you do get into, you might be speeding, you can pay the police a little bit of money and they'll go about their way. You know what I mean? So it's just not as strict here. And you feel more free here than what I felt in America. In America, I never felt free when I learned that all it takes in America is for somebody to put an accusation on you, and that could just end up, you know, you can end up being incarcerated for years.
Yeah. Now, challenges, you had made mention of that adjustment coming into South Africa. What about the comparison of, like, the cost of living? Yeah, here.
That's luckily the money we saved in America. That money would have been gone in 3 months.
Okay.
But that money lasted us for a year here.
Okay.
So the cost of living is definitely affordable. It's very affordable. You can get you, as we showed on our channel, cost of living, you can get you a nice 4-bedroom home for, like, you know, in American money, it's like $150,000, $100,000. You take it here and, you can get you a nice, beautiful home here. The money goes, your American dollars go so much further here, and your money goes further here. But as far as South Africans and what they make here, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But for us, there's definitely, because Wado Maya was telling me how expensive Ghana was, which I was surprised. I didn't realize how expensive Ghana is.
It depends on where you're living. Depends on where you're living.
Okay.
Yeah, depends on. But that right there is really, you know, what they would say, you know, it all depends on how you want to live. Because, I mean, you can get your place there $200 a month, you know, and you can get a place that can do $3,000 a month. It's all relative in how it is that you want to live.
Your lifestyle.
Yeah. Because when I'm here in Ghana, I tell you, I eat where the locals eat majority of the time. So I'm spending like $1 for a meal. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I don't really shop at malls and stuff like that. I'm out there with the local business people. I'll buy my stuff from off of their stands and stuff like that. So I save a lot of money by living like the locals. You know, these laws and stuff, you know, I stay away from these, you know. Typically, when my wife, we travel, because my wife, she makes it, you know, the whole itinerary. You know, we stay in the hotels and we stay in those places because, you know, she wants her comfortability and stuff like that. Put me on a mat, I can be good, you know, for a certain amount of time. I gotta have my hot water shower every now and then. But I am able to, because I used to be in the military and I've been without showers. I've been in the forest. I've been in the desert. So I've got those experiences. So let's talk about this right here. Okay. When I talk about the system, this is a democracy system here in South Africa like it is in America. And we know that South Africa is really a shadow of America. They're 28 years into their independency. Apartheid ended. You coming from America, who slavery ended 159 years ago.
Yes.
And we had to go through all of this stuff and still fighting for equalities and education and job and all these other things here. What do you see? Is there similarities here in that area when it comes to racism?
Yes, South Africa, this is where I became very disappointed when we're in our job search looking for jobs, was when I learned how much the corporations were owned by whites. There's not a lot of, there are of course black businesses here, you know what I mean? But as far as when you go to the bigger corporations, it's more owned by whites here in South Africa. So literally it surprised me how much there's a lot in common with Babylon. And, you know, even to the politics, you know, kind of like what we're going through in America as far as us feeling like our government's not really for us. Yeah. A lot of Africans have shared that notion with me, and I see it now myself. Because when I was here during the pandemic, you know, their government wasn't really doing much to help the people. You know, they weren't giving people food stamps. They weren't giving people unemployment. I mean, I think they were giving people unemployment, but it was 350 Rand for a month. What are people going to do with that? So, you know, there's a lot of similarities in our countries, but it was just surprising coming to Africa and thinking that I was kind of getting away from damn Erica to come to a mini damn Erica. It was kind of surprising because I didn't expect that to be like that in Africa.
And, you know, and I say there's similarities because it's a democracy government. Those governments, of course, the elite always rise, and you know, the poor gets poorer, the rich gets richer. But you shared something interesting with me that, like, you and your family was approached by a modeling agency. Share that story, because I found that to be quite interesting being in Africa.
Yes, that was literally the first month of us being here, and that was really an eye opener for me. A gentleman saw us in the mall. My family, we have dreadlocks. My wife has dreadlocks, and you know, our son has a little fro, and so this guy saw us, and he was like, "You guys would be great for our modeling agency here in South Africa. You guys have the look, so in the height." So we're like, okay. He was like, "Yo, come into the office, and we're gonna set you up with the owner." So we came in, we scheduled an appointment, and the owner, she liked our look. It happened to be a white woman. She was the owner, and she says, "Well, you know, you guys will do great, but I do feel like if you guys cut your hair, you would get more opportunities for modeling, because that the locks and that hairstyle really isn't accepted over here in South Africa as maybe in America." And when I heard that, I just shook my head and said, "Okay, you know, I'll think about it." Yeah. But I knew I wasn't gonna cut my lock. And when I got in the car with my wife, I said, "Am I in Africa or am I in Europe?" Yeah. Yeah. Why they should? This is my natural hair. This is the stuff that we go through in America, in these corporations where they're making, you know, people, you know, feel like they have to look a certain way and be well groomed to appeal to massa. And so, you know, that experience was very mind boggling, because it was just like, yo, I'm in Africa. I should be able to. I thought I would be able to be more free, but you know, and I feel like you can be free in Africa, but when you want to be more in the corporate world like America, they want you to look a certain
There's some
way.
stipulations and policies that they want you to.
Mold you and have you look like.
Prim and proper.
You know, it's interesting because I did an interview the other day with an educator, and he had shared that same thing in the school system. That if you get your kids into these private schools, you know, your kids will be able to speak the way they want them to speak, and then that makes the European comfortable in accepting you because then they feel like you can relate to them. And my thing is like, wow, you know, that's a sense of indoctrination that, you know, we have to appeal to one that can feel comfortable. I don't know why a hair or skin color or anything should be, you know, feared. But
Such is life, though. Such is life. But let's
ask you here. Of course, you can find these issues probably in certain areas where you go. Here a year and a half so far, South Africa.
Y'all staying?
Whoa, there came a time when we were ready to go.
Ready to go.
Okay.
There came a time because it became very difficult, and I mean, my wife couldn't find a job, I couldn't find a job. It was very difficult, and even getting my citizenship, it was difficult. So, you know, it came a time when we were thinking about going because at the end of the day, it's like the money wasn't adding up. So it's like, you know, we might as well be in America and get the money and come back here, because my wife always wanted to live and buy a home here, but she wanted to save up a large sum of money in America and then come back.
Yeah.
So, you know, it got to the point where we were thinking about it, and then she finally got a job. And, you know, it's just, you kind of didn't want to go back to America either, because my family and everybody was telling me, why are you going to Africa? Yeah. If you can't make it in America, you're not going to make it in Africa. You kind of want to, you don't want to give those people validation.
Just make it right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I told you weren't going to like Africa. So, you know, I didn't want to go back crawling on my knees back to America. So I really wanted to make it work here. And luckily, things are finally starting to fall into place.
Yeah. You had mentioned about there were some impactful things that kind of kept your head up in a sense. You know, you had mentioned that, you know, I was one of them who you saw on the video that kind of inspired you. Do you have any other
Local friends?
families y'all hang out with that kind of, you know, help y'all out in the sense of, you know, feeling at home?
Yes.
You know, having gatherings together or what have you. Do you have a connection with friends or?
Yes. Well, you know, my South African wife has a lot of friends here.
Okay.
So we just went to a braai about 4 weeks ago, and it was great. You know, they were actually an Indian family, and they're very hospitable. It was nice. We had a nice braai. So we've been connecting with certain people. She also has her family that we've gone and, you know, spend time with. But the where I kind of was thinking about leaving was when everybody was coming to me and saying, why did you come to South Africa? You know, her friends and family will be like, oh, why did you come here? You're in, you know, America's seen as the land of milk and honey.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was kind of like nice to connect with those people, but at the same time, it made me feel like, man, did I make the right decision? Because everybody's telling me, yo, you should leave here. You know, why are you here? This and that. And then, you know, and what I tell people, no country's perfect. No country's perfect. And it's just at a point where you gotta see what's best for you and your family, because I don't like the agenda that America's pushing. You know, with whether it be the music, you know, they're trying to indoctrinate our children at a young age now with this, you know, this sexuality. Where they're trying to confuse the children. You know, now in the schools, now they're telling us we shouldn't call our children a boy or a girl. We should allow them to grow up and choose what they identify with. All these ideologies and this stuff that they're pushing in America is just not. I can't go for it. So, we connect with people here, but it's just been more so like people like, oh, why are you here?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who, you know, even when people ask me, you know, are you living here? Are you staying here? Yeah, I travel Africa. Africa's my home. And it's hard for them to understand, why are you leaving America? And I show them videos, I show them, tell them the issues and all that right there. You had an interesting story that you said really played a part too, is that last straw broke the camel's back, was being at a park with your son. Share that story right there.
Man, that was sad, honestly. Yeah. I went to the park, and this was in Florida at the time. I was living in Orlando, Florida, and I took my son to the park like I did every day, and it was these guys on the playground shooting a music video. So I wanted to go over there and be like, yo, get off the playground and shoot your music video. So my son wants to play. Yeah. But something stopped me and said, you know, don't approach them.
That
right?
That voice stopped. Almighty, yeah.
Yeah, so I sat down and my son was just running around. So I'm on my phone just looking. So the next thing I know, I look back up. Now these it was about 6 or 7 guys. 4 of them have guns now. One got an AK, one got a Glock, and the other one got a Mac 9. And they sitting there in the videos pointing their guns, waving their guns, and they, you know, they're emulating what they see on TV.
Or what they do in life.
Or what they do in life.
Yeah.
And you know, I ended up pulling out my phone and recording them. And I took my son out of there because, you know, I didn't want him around that kind of, you know, something that was to happen. And I went to my wife and I showed her the video. I said, it's time to go. It's time to go, because these boys were probably at the age 16, 17, and 18.
Yeah. And,
you know, coming from Chicago, you know, that drill music, the drill music is all about your ops and killing your ops and killing your people and kill. And this is what's going on. The music and the like you said, the spirit that's on that music is very destructive.
Very destructive. You know, I cringe every time I go to different cities in Africa and I see the youth embracing this music, and they don't have a clue what's going on in America. The destructiveness in the black community, killing each other. And the music was one part of that play, that spirit upon. So, you know, you being in Chicago, because Chicago is like known for the murder capital of America. Chicago, I mean, they can drop 70 people in the hospital over a weekend, with about 15 people dead over a weekend in Chicago. How were you able to overcome Chicago?
Well, luckily for me, my parents are Seventh-day Adventists, right? Okay. So we kind of, I came from a very structured home.
Okay.
Where, you know, things were structured and organized, where, you know, we had our basketball, and I was into sports, you know, me and my brother, you know, it was just like, it was at a point where the schools that my parents were putting me in were in Seventh-day Adventist schools. So it pretty much got to the point where I really wasn't in the streets, you know what I mean? I wasn't going to the inner city schools. I did have to go one time. I failed, I forget what subject it was. This is back in 9th grade. I failed 2 subjects and I had to do summer school. And I went to the inner city and I got a rude awakening, like, yo.
I'm out of place.
We were walking through metal detectors.
Yeah.
There's dogs walking around sniffing the lockers.
Yeah.
And I said, and that's when I saw the raw side of Chicago. And, you know, it was just like, luckily, my family dynamic and being Seventh-day Adventist, I came up in a very sheltered home.
So they protected you.
Yes.
They protected you from the streets.
Definitely.
Yeah. Wow. You're a father. 2 beautiful children, a son and a daughter.
Yes, sir.
What is your outlook for them? We're in South Africa now, different place. What is your outlook?
My outlook for them is I want them to grow up here in South Africa. Speaking about the music, the one thing I respect about South Africans is they love their house music and their la piano.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're not really into hip hop. They really aren't pushing that hip hop. They have the hip hop scene here.
They got the scene, yeah.
But it's not heavy.
No, it's not.
They prefer their house music. They prefer, and you know, when you see the South Africans, when they out, they don't even have to be out. They could just have a bus parked outside and they could be playing their music and they just gonna, this is a more peaceful vibe.
Yeah.
And I like the energy about that. So I want my children to grow up here because I don't want the agendas that America's pushing on our children in America, and even educating myself like me, you were talking earlier. When you learn about the education system and how it's a white supremacy system, you know, teaching your children about Christopher Columbus and, you know, all these people that we should, Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Jackson, all these people we should be glorifying when these people were, you know, they're not who they claim they are, you know?
Yeah.
And so I want my children to have a different education and to be able to not be seen as black, you know, just be able to blend in and live a normal life. And, you know, with these mass shootings in America, these mass shootings, I think it was just recently in Texas, was it in Texas, where the gentleman went to a school, a young school, and killed a whole bunch of kids. You know, my cousin in Florida, she was at the school, I forget the school in Florida, where they had a mass shooting, the high school. You know, it's like this, the way America's heading, I don't want my kids having to walk through metal detectors. Or, you know, or in the future, you know, now you got a lot of brothers pushing in America to teach your children how to bear arms.
Yeah, they do. You got I've seen videos, fathers with their daughters on the gun range and their sons on the gun range, you know, how to handle weapons and fire them and all right there, you know, and we talked about, you know, is there going to be a civil war?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that day's coming because guns are everywhere.
Everywhere.
I got 5 myself there. So, you know what I'm saying? I got caught up into that, but like, you know, hey, you know, you got to protect yourself. So, and that's just the mindset of America when it becomes a place of danger, you know? So your young children, they will be participating in education here. They'll be learning the African way and things like that. And so what about like, you know, you hear some parents say they want to direct their children in the path of, you know, certain fields of working or professions. Do you have that for your children, or do you know, because we know that, like you mentioned earlier before in the video, that the pay you were surprised by when you came here. And so, you know, I know, like what I told my kids, you know, it's like, you know, you need to pick a profession. If you're going to work 8 hours a day, pick something that's going to pay you. You know? What is your thoughts on that?
No, I agree, because all my family, you know, they got their degrees. So, you know, my mom's a nurse. My dad became a principal. So I agree. I'm gonna. But what I want to teach my children is to definitely get a profession, but to also not be so limited and just looking one way.
Not for work, we can be business person.
Yes, entrepreneurship. That's what I want to teach my children, is entrepreneurship, because I feel like our black children, especially even here in South, that's one thing I have to say about South Africa, is entrepreneurship is not a big thing. It's a big thing among some people, but it needs to be more people going into entrepreneurship, because that's when you can find real freedom, is in working for yourself.
You know, when I venture up into the western part of Africa, central over to the eastern part, so many Africans own businesses because there's just not many jobs, and people are like, I gotta eat, you know. So all these different type of businesses, whether it's selling food or product, or whether it's, you know, cutting hair. You see people in the streets doing hair, or people out here, you know, shining shoes, or whatever it is to make a buck, you can find it. I'm quite sure it's out in these townships here probably too.
It is.
Here
It is.
in South Africa.
It is.
But because, like you were saying, it's more westernized here, what I miss is that when I go out my front door, and I've shown this over in Ghana, you can walk down the street, you're gonna find practically everything you need in that day: food, a seamstress, somebody maybe cut your hair, and it's almost like on every street there's just business there to take care of your needs, instead of, oh, I gotta take an Uber to go over to the shopping center to go grocery shopping, get my food. Oh, I gotta go over into this mall over here to buy clothes. Yeah, so many businesses. Yeah. So yourself, though, work-wise, what is your venture, business? What do you have in mind as far as?
Well, as you know, my wife, she's the artist.
Yeah.
So when she got done working for Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, she was doing paint and sip, where she was showing people in classes how to do art and drink the wine and all that thing. So the plan was for us to come here and start a paint and sip. But when we came here during the pandemic, and then we started checking the demographics, we noticed that it wouldn't be so popular amongst our people. That if we wanted to start a paint and sip, we needed to put it in a more white demographic kind of area. So during the pandemic, with things being shut down, it was hard for us to really, it wasn't a good investment because things were shut down. And so we ended up putting that dream of ours on hold, starting that business. But as far as, in the future, we plan on starting up that business. And then we started our YouTube channel, to keep something, trying to show.
Make Africa great again.
Yes. Trying to show just trying to change the negative perception of Africa, because South Africa is really, really beautiful. And, you can speak on that. Like, I haven't been to Cape Town yet, but you were just there. By the way, how was Cape Town?
People, let me say this right here.
Beautiful. The mountains, the water, the ocean. Beautiful.
Yeah, I heard.
But I look beyond that. Because, when I see our people in a struggle, that's what my eyes draw to.
That's so true.
When I see the townships and I see the conditions of how people live, that's what I'm drawn to. I already know no matter where you go in Africa, around the world, the landscape is beautiful. God created it. Now let's get to the nitty gritty.
Yes.
Let's get to the local people. Let's hear their pains. Let's hear what politics, what's the morale like. What is the opportunities? See, that's what I look for. And so then, when I was there, yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. For those who can go and enjoy those places that are beautiful, you know what I'm saying? And so me and my wife, we went to Table Mountain.
Yes.
We went on top there, got to see the whole landscape of Cape Town and everything. It was great, and we had a person point out areas of where each small township was, where the Malaysians used to be at, and where the Africans were, and then of course they were moved over there to this area here, and of course money came in and took over and this, and then it's like, and I go like, but people are surviving, they're working, they're doing what they gotta do in order to make it happen. And that's how we are as a people. We are a strong people. We are a thriving people. No matter what we go through, we figure it out. And so I love to see our people who are doing it through the struggle. I love to see that, we don't give up. We got we're very innovative. We can make nothing out into something. We come up with an idea that's something that is like, I can't afford that, but what? I can mimic it and copy it and make it for how we do it over here. It blows my mind to see that. So it does still bring me back into how great of a people we really are.
Definitely. I agree with you. But my thing is I have to ask South Africans. What blew me away, because initially when me and Nicole came here, the plan was to go down to Cape Town because our family's from Cape Town. Our mother's in Cape Town.
Yeah.
When I would tell blacks that I would meet, at restaurants or just meeting some people out and about, like, yeah, we're going to go to Cape Town and we're going to go relocate, they would be like, oh, be safe down there. It's a lot of white people down there in Cape Town. I don't know if you're going to, white Cape Town.
A lot of people told us
you got to be careful there. And I'm like, am I in Africa or am I still in America?
Yeah.
And it was really sad to see the fear that some of my brothers and sisters in South Africa have of going to Cape Town because they know who runs it.
Yeah, I've heard that many a time before we went. And my wife was really floored by, when we got there to Cape Town and we went through a couple of the markets. And my wife wound up buying a hat from a sister there who had her tent. And before my wife paid her, and before we left, the woman said to my wife, excuse me, sister, okay, you gotta be careful in some of these areas here. You hold on to your bag. If anybody touch you, they're trying to get something off of you. You gotta make sure that this and that. So we're getting this, you know, this awareness of education. Of you gotta be careful of this, be careful of that town. Don't go over here in the dark. Don't hear. You know, it was the same thing even in Johannesburg being shared, you know, and that's the same in America.
Yes.
I mean, there's some places in Chicago ain't trying to go. New York City, Miami, Los Angeles. And so we have that. We have the same struggle. That's why I said Cape Town is kind of mirroring. And there are those who really have a hard time when I'm sharing this, and they think I'm talking bad about South Africa. But I'm warning the brothers and sisters that these are things that even when you come here in South Africa,
The locals are telling you.
the locals will tell you these things. And you can at least get educated by hearing what the locals even have to say. You know, because not everything is peachy keen.
No.
I can even take my video right here and walk right through this area, through this city here, but through the other city, the next city, where, you know, people can see, there's a lot of Africans walk through here. There are those that are middle class that are coming through here, you know, but there's a lot of those who are working here. And I can show that, and I can glorify it all day long. But then at the end of the day, you know, what is the whole South Africa? So, you know, but it's beautiful. I believe everybody should come here and visit.
Oh, yes.
I told my son, you fit right in right here. My daughters would fit in right here.
Yes. Yes.
Because they have a different experience and a different perception than I do. You know, like you said, you had a different experience in America, and not everybody thinks America is a racist country.
Yes. Yes.
And that's their life experience. And so I'm like, my daughters will love it here.
Yes. Yeah, it's South Africa, where I would share people, it's a good transition coming from America to South Africa if you're not ready for that culture shock.
Yeah.
If you're not ready for living more simplistic, you know.
Yeah.
Because South Africa is very developed. It is very developed. It is the streets, from what I hear, compared to other African. I even heard you talking about the streets of Ghana.
Yeah.
The streets here are paved. It's very developed. So that's why you have a lot of people that like to come to South Africa, because it's a mini America.
It's an easy transition into Africa, and yet you're not going to really miss a beat when it comes to what you're used to being accommodated by in America. You can come here and fit right in.
Fit right in. I want to share this to Americans. Yo, they love us out here. Mr. Go Black. The people in South Africa, they're very warm. You know, you have your good and bad apples just like in everywhere, like he was saying. You go to New York, you go to Chicago, you got your good and your bad. But here, overall, the people are very welcoming here. And they love Black Americans. You know, like a lot of them see me and they're like, yo, you're the first Black American, because they meet a lot of white Americans, because white Americans are moving to South Africa.
Oh, yeah.
They're coming here.
Yep.
And they're capitalizing off of this land and off of these prices.
Businesses. Prices, yeah.
So what I'm sharing with you guys is that they love us here, and you, like he said, the transition, you will be. I feel like I'm more respected here than in America. I get way more respect. I get people, even you. I've heard you speak about this. People are more willing to even give you an ear. Listen to what you have to say. Listen to your perspective. In America, ain't nobody trying to hear you, unless you Barack Obama or you LeBron James or you one of these rappers. Nobody wants to hear you, or you a pastor. Nobody wants to hear you.
Yeah, you know, there are those out there who want to hear you, but I'll say this right here, that when I speak and give a totally different perspective than what most in Africa have been accustomed to, it really piques their interest. And I was just talking to a brother who cut my hair, giving me a lineup yesterday. And I was just talking to him and, you know, talking to him about business. And he said, man, what you're saying to me, oh my gosh. And he said, I'm getting goosebumps. He said, my skin is rising. He said goosebumps. He said something else like, my skin is rising or something. And he said, because he was trying to figure out himself, because he thought America was the place. Because I used to be a barber in my own barber shops and stuff, so we're having this barber talk, and he wants to know how much haircuts are. And I tell him, he's like, oh my gosh. For one haircut, it takes him a week to make. You know what I'm saying? 1 week to make off of one haircut. And so I said, But brother, okay, you're sharing with me these monetary issues you have. Let me talk about how can you put that money together even to grow and then get you into your own barbershop. And I dropped it in them, and it's like like you're saying, they really want to hear what you think, because a lot of them look up to America. And my thing is to bring what I know over into Africa and just share it with the people.
Yes, because, and I want to share, Mr. Go Black, his intentions are pure. I get where you're coming from. What you want to do is you want to just see South Africa be, which is how I feel, because my wife, she shared with you, she felt like a foreigner in her own land. You shouldn't feel like a foreigner in your own land. I've met South Africans who shared the same experience, and I think if South Africans and Americans can come together, we could do some powerful things like Ghana and what they allowed African Americans to move over. I shared this in one of my other videos, the culture shock. I shared that South Africa needs to open up their borders to African Americans and stop letting these Chinese people come here and capitalize off of the resources and the minerals. So if we could come here, if Black Americans can come here and South Africans are willing to listen, we could come together. And it could be a very powerful movement.
I'm gonna tell you, I speak like Ghana, for instance. A lot of African Americans and those from the UK and Canada and abroad have flooded into Ghana, and has created a total different atmosphere. And what I mean by total different atmosphere is that those locals, when you see that these outsiders are coming in, they're wanting needs met. They're looking for services that they're used to. And you can benefit off of that. Because the money coming into Ghana, people are creating business and be like, yo, because even when I'm in Ghana, right, for instance, let's say like, I'm trying to think like the things that like I really need, it's hard to find. And so when I share with people, it's like, look, if I'm feeling this way, that means a lot of other people's feeling this way. For instance, I bought an apartment in Ghana, and there was this Lebanese guy who was building a remodeling apartment 2 doors down from me. So he called me in and said, hey, because he's trying to make some money off of me. And he wanted to charge me like $5,000 to put up some particle board and to resurface the cabinets for $5,000. I said, man, you're crazy. And I was like, if he's charging $5,000 in these areas where the foreigners have come in, or those who got a little more money than the locals and stuff, how many Ghanaians can benefit and cut his price and make that money? How many of the locals can come do? I know there are locals who are doing cabinetry and doing rehabs, and how many can just create their business and say, look, Go Black said this dude tried to charge me $5,000. I could come in and say, I'm gonna do it for $3,000.
There you go.
And that is a killing. You know what $3,000 get you in Ghana? So then if money's coming in, then how do we then capitalize off of that? You know what I'm saying?
So the local Ghanaian people, they're not bitter about a lot of Africans coming from the diaspora back home. They're not bitter about it.
They're happy.
Wow.
When we were talking, it's like, the people are welcoming and, they're glad to see you, but the downside of that too is that it's bittersweet, because then it's like, are they gravitating toward me because they think I got money?
Yes.
Are they being genuine? And that's hard to find.
That is hard to find.
That's hard to find who is genuine when you are there and you're perceived as. And I always tell my brothers and sisters in Africa, majority of the people are poor.
Facts.
The majority of the people in America are poor. And those people who come to Africa, they had to save for a whole year to take a 2-week, 3-week vacation to come and enjoy, and then go back and hit that work again to save up.
Yep.
Not many people are coming to Africa to live, but they had to save up money and hopefully try to get a small business going and get some money start to happen, or get something, a business going on the internet, whatever. But they're tired of America and they're just giving it a try.
Yep. That's me.
Yeah.
And people think that they be thinking I'm rich and I got all this money. And same thing I try to tell them. I said, listen, there's another side of America that y'all don't know about.
Yeah.
You better go look up Caprini Green projects in Chicago. You better go look up. We got certain parts of America that you would think you were in a third world country.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they don't believe you when you tell them that. It's this what America. I think Akon spoke on this. America has done such a great job at painting this lie to everybody. And what they've done a great job is also with Africa is painting this big lie of just poverty and just the misconception of Africa. And so people really have that perception of America, and they have really no ideas of the struggles that we're going through. They hear, they might hear about one big story like George Floyd.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're not really knowing about Dylan Roof.
Yeah.
They're not really knowing the nits and gritty, the little things that's really taking place in our ghettos, and how the gun violence and the mass shootings. They're not hearing about these things. So yes, we are not all wealthy in America. Don't. That's a big lie.
It's a big lie, and that's why when I travel lightly, and I travel cheaply, because I'm able to do what I do, not just for the money that I've made, but I live simple. I know how to stretch a penny. I can squeeze the bigger out of Lincoln on a penny. I'm cheap. I mean, my wife is like, well, you can be cheap. I mean, it's like, I can make $1 stretch. And I don't need to be living high on the hog. I can treat myself some things like that. And that's why I tell people, when people ask me all the time, how much money do I need to come to Africa? I can't answer that because I don't know your spending habits.
Yeah, your lifestyle.
Are you willing to eat like a local? Are you going to eat pop on the street? That pop, for those people that know, it's like grits.
It's like grits. It's like grits, but it has no flavor.
No, they don't put the salt and butter like we do.
No.
Salt and butter. But are you going to eat pop off the street? I bought a meal here for 40 Rand. 40 Rand, and I think he charged me 10 Rand more.
Probably.
But I got a piece of meat, I think chicken, pop, some greens, a little coleslaw, and they give you these little tasty dabs. And
For 40 Rand.
and that is, what is it, 16 and a half Rand per US dollars?
Yes.
So you figure that is like $2.80.
Yep.
But I go right here in this shopping area here.
Yeah, you got KFC. You got KFC.
Yeah, that's the cheap ones. These restaurants, Proud Mary's, and you got these other restaurants out here, that's going to cost you 225 Rand per plate.
Yes, yeah.
That right there is like
$18. I don't feel right spending that money, though I can spend it. But I'm like, I can get a meal over here for $2 versus going up in here in this restaurant that's going to charge me 18 to 20 bucks. I mean, I ate at a spot here, me and my wife, and we celebrated my birthday early before she left.
Oh.
Yeah, and so, 35 bucks a plate.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
But and that same plate would have costed about 70 bucks in America.
Yeah. It would have been. That's so
easily 70 bucks a plate in America. And so my thing is like, and that's what I show people who are wondering, how much money do I need to come, this and that? How do you want to live? Do you want to live in some of these places where your Airbnbs are going to cost you? It doesn't sound like a lot, $60 a night.
Yep.
But I can find places that don't have to be in this area right here. It'd be $22 a night. How do you stretch that money?
Yes. Yep. But now I wanted to say this to you. South Africans, I do feel like they would welcome us African Americans here because they feel like we come from a first world country. But they really, and I have met some South Africans who are like, oh, you came here to steal our jobs, you know what I mean? So I feel like here in South Africa, I wonder if they will be as welcoming, because I see how they treat their fellow African brothers and sisters. And they're not very welcoming. Like there's this guy I met recently, he's Cameroonian. And he was just telling me how hard it's been to make that transition here in South Africa, how the locals have been treating them, how they, are being mistreated. And also, I've talked to the locals. My wife is a local. There is some frustrations on their parts, feeling like people are coming from Nigeria and other countries committing crimes and not respecting their laws. So I understand that side of it too.
Yeah.
So I wonder though, this is what I've been wondering, and I've picked a few South Africans' minds. They seem like I did. What do South Africans think about African Americans?
Yeah.
And they were pretty much welcoming to us coming.
Of course.
But they really are not welcoming to their neighboring countries, Zimbabwe, and a lot of people who've had to leave their countries to come to Africa because their countries were struggling.
We feel the same way when we see the Chinamen, the Lebanese, the Indians that come into the communities and open up shops in America, and we argue about why are
Immigrants coming in and taking up jobs? Why are why is it easier for them to get businesses started and going than ourselves who have been here for hundreds of years? I mean, that same argument, the Hispanics who are coming in illegally over the border, and then these businesses are hiring them, and then the argument is like, well, they're working on the farms, they're doing the hard manual labor. How many black folk want to do that work?
Yeah, no.
So then can we really complain? So I think no matter where you are in this world,
when you see other people are coming in and it appears maybe they're making more money or they're having a better opportunity than you do feel a certain way.
And I get it. I get it.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I felt it in America. In America, you definitely see the Chinese people doing really well for themselves, and the opportunities in America are it's just crazy. They'll give you a loan to go to school, but if you try to get a loan to start a business, or I try to start a business in America, where I was at a point where I wanted to do valet trash.
Yeah.
I was gonna pick up trash, and I had a truck, and I was gonna try to start this business. And the company, the apartment complex that I was staying in, the managers gave me the okay. But then I had to talk to the big guy, the general manager or the head or whatever they call himself, and he shut me down. He was like, it's a good idea. This is like 10 years ago. And I went back to that same community, and they had hired a white guy to come in that community and do the valet trash, and he's making a lot of money. So it's just, you definitely feel it where, the opportunities in America are not always there for certain black people. But, you just got to stay focused and do what you got to do, I guess. But I was just tired of the grind and the hustle of America.
Yeah.
And I think you have maybe an advantage over some, because
you have a total different outlook
coming into a different place. This is why
Africans go to America, they
thrive.
That is so true.
Africans go to America, they like, look,
the where I came from, there was little to nothing. Then they look at us and
say, man, some of y'all
are lazy.
I'm putting this work in, man. I'm trying to get this opportunity. Y'all don't realize, man, the amount of money,
the amount of money we're making back home. And yet, if I get in here and get this job here, they even call some of us lazy.
That is true.
And I get it. Because even then, I've
heard some of those coming in to Africa and other countries from neighboring countries will even call those locals lazy.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I've
heard
that too.
So that's universal. It's just universal. It's like, shoot, I believe that I can go into any place from my knowledge and get things happening. I ain't gonna say what happened overnight, but I know the knowledge. And that's why I share with so many. You don't like the state that you're in?
Okay, I'll drop this nugget
in your lap and you can go ahead and start from it. It's going to cost you. You're going to have to get up and do it. You're going to put that work in. How many people are going to put that work in?
No, not a lot. And that's what we were talking about earlier. That's my biggest issue with America is our education system. Is that they really don't teach you entrepreneurship.
No. They want you to work for the system.
They want you to work for the system. So that's why a lot of brothers and sisters, where they do knock us in America and call us lazy, is because they're not groomed. We're groomed to just be an employee or a soldier.
Yep.
And so that's why a lot of people, entrepreneurship is definitely the future. Teach your kids entrepreneurship. Luckily, I had the privilege, my grandfather, a fun fact was, my grandfather in Chicago was one of the first African Americans to start a demolition company.
Oh, okay, nice.
And he did it from the ground up. You know, he was working for he was a white guy he was working for several years, studied it, and then went on and started his own demolition company because he realized there wasn't a lot of people doing demolition.
Yeah.
And so he started his own demolition company, and that was when, as a child, I got to see my grandfather doing entrepreneurship. So that spirit is there within me as well, because that's just, my grandfather was a hard worker, but he was able to live the lifestyle that he wanted.
Do you know my cousins in St. Louis have a demolition business?
Really?
My cousins in St. Louis.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they do.
You don't meet a lot of people doing demolition.
You don't. But they do. That's what they
It's
do.
hard work.
Oh yeah.
My grandfather would take me out there. I was complaining.
Yeah. But maybe that's something you might even look into.
That is true.
Because as new things go up, old things come down.
Calm down.
Yeah.
That is true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, most definitely. But, hey, these are knowledge that we can come and learn from our African brothers and sisters, and we know, and like you said, it creates a dynamic dualship that everybody can win.
Yes.
Everybody can win. Because I'm here to tell you that, me and my wife had this conversation. And I said, babe, you know what? We're going to start us a business, and we are going to pay what is rightfully to the people. And we can be the example.
That's powerful.
Because with most businesses, it's all about the top gets the most money, and then everything else dribbles down, and the people on the bottom always gets less. And my thing is that, can you imagine if I paid people $8 an hour, an American wage in Africa?
They would be so happy.
Oh, that word would spread.
Yes.
And I guarantee you this right here. I guarantee you wouldn't find nobody who's coming to that, working for our business, who's going to half step, who's going to call in late, who's going to miss out on an opportunity and lose their job.
And what happens then now is then others are going to follow. Because now when that word spreads, I'm like, man, them people over there, man, paying us, man, $8 an hour? That's almost 1 month's pay in one day. Because my thing is that I don't need the profit. I'm just trying to teach and show. So then that happens. Then all of a sudden now, it begins to start to slowly spread, and it's going to force other places to go ahead and pay their employees more money.
And I think that's what we can do.
No, definitely. And I like what you said. Sometimes we gotta be the example.
Gotta be the example.
Because a lot of these corporations, they're set in their ways.
Oh yeah. That's capitalism. Capitalism is about getting all I can get
out of you
and putting out as little as I can.
Yep.
And then at the end of the day, look at my profit margin to see how much I'm profiting. You know what's so amazing?
When you look at like these companies and when their prospectus come in of how much the company's worth, how much assets they have, how much liquidation, the cash flow they have, they like to look and show that we got billions of dollars sitting here of profits. But your employees are only you mean you can't share some of that wealth to bring up, they're only making $10 an hour? In America that you can't, $10 an hour,
you can't even you can't even live on your own. You're gonna have to have a roommate in an apartment to help out with the cost of rent.
Yep.
You're not getting an apartment by yourself off of $10 an hour. You're living at home with your parents, or you gotta find roommates to go ahead and share off in the cost of the apartment.
Or you gotta do, which is what a lot of my family and friends are doing, you gotta work 2 jobs.
And I worked 3. I worked 3. Most deaf.
That's what I was doing in America. I was at one point bartending, and then when I would get off doing that or serving, and then I would go and work security at a club, and then I would sometimes do Uber Eats.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to do, you know, because it was just a grind. It was just really, America is, people don't know how difficult it is in America. And that's really what I want to say, though, honestly, more than anything is for my brothers and sisters in America, the ones who have been arrested in the criminal justice system, it needs to be reformed. I feel like it's not until the justice system becomes reformed will I feel comfortable going back to America.
Yeah, because once they got privatized businesses who are investors in the prison system, and it is their job to the cities to keep getting them clients, prisoners. Which, if y'all get a check on, I forget the investment company that sued California for not arresting people to send them into prison.
Nope.
In like 2012 or something like that. That these prison systems were suing the cities because they weren't arresting enough people to send them to the prison.
And there was a big story in New York where it was two black African American brothers and a Latino guy, and I think it was a black woman as well. They sued New York because what they were doing was they had to meet their quota, like you're saying. What we're talking about, it's like tickets in America. They have a quota that they got to meet every month of how many people they give tickets to. In America, they have a quota on how many quota. They have a quota on how many people they must arrest every month to a certain degree. And so these gentlemen, they sued New York City because they were being forced to go and make minor arrests.
Yeah.
And if they didn't make arrests and they didn't do certain things, the police precinct and the people at the police will make their job uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
And they said what they noticed what they were doing in New York was they were sending them to their community, their black communities, to go harass their people.
Yeah.
And for any minor little offense, lock them up because there was, there's money involved. And like you said, it's privatized prisons, and these people are now getting wealthy that they're trying to keep this thing. And it's not until America changes that where I ever feel comfortable in America. Because what I look like, I feel like in America, I'm
your target.
I'm a target.
You're a target. We are. And this is how the whole police system. I understood when people wanted to defund the police.
I understood that to certain degrees. Now, I ain't saying do away with it, but the police have become a military. And what they did was, okay, look, let's go find crime. Let's go look for these things. Let's go create things let's go ahead and put drugs in communities and guns. And then we're gonna create task force to go ahead and fight that. This in turn then was able to seize money out of those businesses to fund their own police departments to then make them bigger beasts.
The police should never look like the military.
I agree.
Armed with tanks, that is a military.
Yep.
Armed with these assault weapons, but then people are going to say, well, there are people walking around with assault weapons. Yeah, I understand, but this is the funding that our taxpayers, your money, my money, your money, are going towards to fund these police departments, these bogus task force off of things you created in order to show that y'all are doing a good job.
Yep.
You don't need to be going in people's houses and look for crime. Now, if you happen to, if it's reported or you see there's some things that are going on, but why are let's create this task force and let's check every person on the street to see,
do they have something on them? Let's bust down some doors and see, is there some illegal activity going on in these houses?
Yep.
That is not right.
That's not right, especially when
it's targeted in the black community.
And like you said, when I started learning my history, because Frank Lucas, one of the big drug kingpins that they want to glorify. But what I took from him more than anything was when he exposed how many police were coming and putting drugs. That's why they were angry with him, because he was getting more money than the police were.
Yeah.
And the police, when he got arrested, he got several police officers arrested, and this was in New York. And you know, when you should start breaking it down on every level, when like the book I read, The New Jim Crow, she broke down how the justice system started. It started during slavery, and it was there to regulate us and keep us from running away. And then it evolved into the system that we see. So now when you understand that the core of the problem was how it even came about. And that is why when I started learning all these things, you know, I just said, oh no, I gotta leave damn Erica. This ain't for me, because, you know, it's scary to have to watch your back. You know, there was a crime committed close by my area. I was in this Altamont Springs in Orlando. Unfortunately, a black guy went and this guy was delivering money to the Publix, and he shot him point blank in the head and ran off with the money. You know, I didn't go to that Publix for 2 months straight because they didn't catch him for 2 weeks. And I said, I do not want them thinking that it's me. And it was right next door to my apartment, but I would literally go farther away to go to the Publix up the street because I didn't want them to possibly think that I had anything to do with it.
PTSD. Off of being falsely accused by somebody that you was arrested for 6 months in jail, had to prove your case, got rearrested, got for another county. Yeah. And you know, when you mentioned, you know, like, how does this judicial system capitalize off of black people? Back then when there was slavery, if people ran and escaped from out of slavery, you had bounty hunters. They created these so-called policing these racist groups to go hunt down. When they freedom came to the Africans out of slavery, it became non-existent for bounty hunters anymore. What do we need these groups for now? To hunt for people who's escaping? Now they're free. So how do we now continue to make money off of these people who we were making that's our livelihood? Well, what came into place was Jim Crow laws, which was this right here. Now I'm educating you people right here because this is a system I've been talking about that you don't realize what's happening before your eyes right now. So what they did was they created laws. Okay, these black people are freed. And now they're starting to gravitate towards the north to get away from the south. So we're going to create laws that's called trespassing. There ain't like roads and sidewalks that you see here today. People had to pass through land to get to the north. So we're going to create trespassing laws. Loitering, you stopped in a town and you were not a worker or you were not purchasing anything. Black folks who had nothing was trying to get to the north because they heard about jobs and maybe some opportunities, and they wanted to leave that pain behind. You're hungry, you run out of food. You don't even know your way into navigating thousands of miles up the north. But yet you're stopping in these towns, you're looking and asking for money, asking for directions, and you can get arrested for loitering. You can get arrested for trespassing. These were new laws. And if people look at the Constitution, the 13th Amendment, it said that you could not hold a person in a state of slavery unless he was a criminal. And how then would you make them a criminal? You create laws to keep them from getting to a place that is where most people are gravitating towards. You create these Jim Crow laws. You can't be loitering. You can't trespass. You can't be doing these various things that they found us guilty in. Then you send them into court. Then they were in prison. And why was that prison so important? Because those farmers who didn't have to hire helpless slaves anymore. They would send these prisoners to do the work on the plantations, which then the farmers will give the kickback to the system for bringing these free laborers in. Do y'all get what I'm saying?
Hold on, they saying fix your mic. They saying go black. They need to fix your mic.
Okay.
Your mic, yeah, go black. Reposition your mic, please. Fix your mic.
Okay. All right.
See if they. I want them to hear this now. I want them to hear this now.
Could y'all hear what I was saying? Could y'all hear what I was saying?
Finally. Somebody said finally.
Yeah, okay. So
this whole system, brothers and sisters who are not used to America, or even those who are in America don't even know the history, that this whole system of this judicial system, just us, was not for us, it was for them to benefit off of. So when the slaves got free, your ancestors, the Africans who are us, they created these laws of loitering and trespassing. And if you got caught in people's properties, because you got to travel through to get to the north, you found yourself in prison. To work, these farmers who don't have slaves anymore, to work on the land, and to then they make their money. The system, the city would get paid a kickback off of it, and it kept us in the prison system to this day. It's been privatized. It is by investors that keep us in the prison systems. This is facts. This is why I try to tell South Africans, don't be mad at me, because I'm sharing with you all that I'm sharing with the diaspora, not for the South Africa, for you to understand. It's a comparison here, different though, but that South African can learn from our history to see what your system is going to wind up like. Because we're 159 years from slavery, y'all only 28 years. Not just South Africa, the whole continent of Africa is new in their independence. The oldest is Ghana being the first. That was in 58, I think it was, 1958.
And the only one was Ethiopia, who was never colonized.
Yes. So if I got this history and I can come in and educate the people and say, look, this system right here, look, this is how it's being played out, y'all. Look, okay, you want to learn the game of this? Okay, check this out. Because we went through it and we've gone through it, and y'all are just now understanding this system. 28 years. 28 years, I'm 56 years old. I was 28 when y'all got y'all independence. Fighting in the system, trying to figure out how I can navigate through it. Facts.
Just facts. Yeah, facts. What he's saying is true, and that's why I left America.
Yes.
Because the PTSD and knowing that it's a business.
Yeah.
And when I read in the book, The New Jim Crow, she says, they no longer have use for you anymore because we're not picking their cotton, or if you don't get a formal education, you're more valuable to them incarcerated than you are free. They make money because the tax dollars, they make money off of us being incarcerated. And so when you realize that, it's a scary reality.
It is.
And it's also at a point where I don't want my son to grow up in that hostile environment.
Yeah.
Because I seen Mr. Go Black when I was in the courtroom. I seen how they were treating our people. It was sad. They had you in the shackles coming in the courtroom, and you get to see firsthand, because you behind the bars, of how this whole system is working. Yeah, and let me tell you, the judge got mad at me. I didn't tell you this part. Because I'm sitting there, you sit there for a while sometimes before they call your name. Yeah. So I'm sitting there angry. I'm angry because I'm eating horrible food. I'm losing weight by the day. And this white guy comes up there for manslaughter. He's free. Mind you, he walked in there with his clothes, a suit on, with his high, you knew he had a high profile lawyer from the way that lawyer was dressed. And when he walked in that courtroom, you knew he was somebody. Yeah. So then they finally called my name. Timmons, please stand up. Blah, blah, blah. And then when they got done talking about my situation, like I was just nobody, my case, like I was nobody, they said, do you have any objections or anything to say? I said, yes, I do. Why is that man free and he has a manslaughter, and I'm sitting here with Grand Theft Auto? Now, it was crazy. This is how small the world was. The judge who was presiding over my case was the same judge who was dealing with Corey, the gentleman from West Palm Beach who got shot by an officer, Corey something. He was a drummer. Then the police officer came up to him in unmarked clothes and shot him and killed him. And he was on the side of the road. Okay. And I said to the judge, because that officer was on house arrest. Okay. I said, you residing over this other guy's case, and he's sitting at home, and this white guy here, he's out on bond, and I didn't kill nobody. And I said, this whole system is flawed and corrupt. You told the judge that? I stood up and said it. That courtroom got quiet. And the judge literally looked at me for 10 seconds because she was surprised I knew, because a lot of brothers might say something, but they cursed and they like, fuck you. Yeah. And I didn't do that. I articulated myself in a level that she was surprised. Yeah. And she had this look on her eyes like, And she knew what I was saying was true.
Of course.
Because I was there for a bond hearing.
Yeah.
And I was angry I was having to sit there and having to prove my innocence to these people. And that's why I moved away, and I have no respect for America. And my heart goes out to my brothers and sisters who are still there, who are falsely arrested. You know, that's a lot of trauma that people don't talk about, that our brothers and sisters have been dealing with for a long time.
Don't talk about it. We don't. We don't even talk about how we get up every day to go to work, endlessly putting our energy into this system. And we don't, at the end of the day, we don't own anything. Majority of us don't own anything. The system that I've been trying to share with brothers and sisters here is like, look out now, Africa, especially South Africa. Y'all think y'all accomplished something by the bank giving you loans? No, that's called debt. And it will keep you having to be dependent on the system. They're gonna give you loans for your house, they're gonna give you loans for your cars, they'll give you loans because it's gonna keep you entrapped in slavery. To have to be on that hamster's wheel running around chasing after, and you are going to realize 20 years from now you ain't accomplished nothing. You've been surviving and you got a house that you haven't paid for that you think you've accomplished something, or that car that you keep getting a newer car because you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. You know, you're trying to go ahead and buy those fancy clothes. Look, let me show y'all something right here. Let me show y'all this outside here in this mall real quick. Let me walk over here.
Go ahead.
Let me show y'all something. We are consumers. You're gonna see. You're gonna see this right here, family. You're gonna see that all these stores, and you see African brothers and sisters in here, right? Consumers. And guess what? What happens is, one second, let me get this together.
You got it.
What happens is, family, let me put you in here. This is what happens. We believe the lie that our life accomplishments is about what we can buy. So we go to work and we get this money and then we go spend it, which is why the economy, that's why America is the strongest company, because we spend money. We have a strong economy of consumers. Get that money. That's why when it came to during the COVID, the government was quick to give a what was the
grants
budget?
and loans?
No, the what they call the checks that it was stimulus
checks.
Now think about this, family. Now you got to think about this. What does a stimulus check mean? You know what a stimulus check means?
I actually don't know. I don't know.
It's to stimulate the economy. To stimulate. There are stimulus checks they cut for people. Why? Because if nobody is spending money, guess what happens? Businesses close down. This is why I say the power is not individually how much money I have. It's us collectively. We can change the whole world if we stop spending money.
That is so true.
Then we get our way, because all these businesses ain't owned by Africans. So you want higher pay raises? What does people do in America when they ain't getting pay raises? They go on strikes, don't they?
Strike.
Yeah. And let a person cross the line and try to take your job. Put your life on the line. These people right here be on that strike line, and new employees they trying to bring in and come in on ship. They've done this over years, you know. Bring a busload of new employees trying to take over. Them people will stop that bus, boy, and throw rocks at it, boy, flatten them tires. I'm like, no. You can't cross this line. Why? Because of the fact that people should be rightly paid according to their hard work, based upon the production and the success of that business. And so they need consumers. That's why I said, my brothers and sisters in these Western civilizations of capitalism, the whole thing of when you see your cities come up with new buildings and new businesses, it was never for you. It was for those who have the money to come and enjoy. But they needed you as a servant to come and work it, who gets paid the less amount of money. Hence is why I say, yes, the system is there, and there's going to be people who's going to be part of that system. I ain't ragging on if that's what you want to be part of the system. But those who ain't getting a fair shake out of it, okay, start you a business then, and then for those business, you can get contracts off of that off of the system. You can go ahead, and those people who are in the system, they need services. So you find yourself to be independent, but yet for those people, they still need services.
Yes.
That money they're making out of the system, they're gonna spend it if you got a good business and provide a good service. So this is what we need to realize. Stop buying those Gucci's. Stop buying those Louis Vuittons. Stop buying those Ralph Lauren's, because the majority of people who goes into these stores and buy that, I can guarantee you, their bank accounts have. You look rich, but you broke in the bank.
But you broke. Yup, that's so true. And
Ain't that America? That's Black America.
That's Black America, to the T.
And the world thinks America's got money. No, America's got debt. Majority of the people don't own houses.
Nope.
At least in Africa, most people who has a house, they said, I built it, took me about 5 years, but I have my house. I own nobody. There you go. You are debt free. They can never come take it. In America, 99% of the people in America don't own their house. They think they do. No, when you have a mortgage on a house, you don't own your house. That's the banks.
And then when they finally pay it off, they realize they don't even own the land.
You still got to pay them expensive taxes. And if you stop paying them taxes on that land, guess what? They come and take your house.
Your house.
So we got to wake up and understand the system. Because like South Africa, pay attention to America. Because America is the forerunner for you to understand. All the homelessness that's happening in America now, the drug scene, the crime scene, all of these things that are happening that they don't show you, you can wake up and realize, okay, I can't become attached to the system like that. I have to make way for me and my children to be independent of this.
Yes.
That's facts, y'all.
Yes. And that's where me listening to Mr. Go Black and Wadamaya, I gotta thank you in person.
Yeah.
I was listening to him, and he helped, because there was a level of fear, but I can't say it was completely there, because I had one privilege of having a wife who was from Africa.
Yeah.
Having that wife from Africa made it a little easier to make that transition.
Yeah.
But it was still fearful, and at the end of the day, I don't regret my decision. I don't regret my decision, because everything you were saying, you know, you're speaking facts, and even, you know, my parents, they went through that whole thing with the housing market crash in 2008, right?
2008.
And they stayed in a decent neighborhood, and this is in West Palm Beach, called Richton Park. So they are amongst, it's like a diverse neighborhood. You had your whites, you had your blacks, you had your Latinos, right?
Yep.
And their home was around $265,000 US dollars. So when the housing market crashed, you know, Bank of America was refinancing people's mortgages and working with people, and they worked with majority of the white people in the neighborhood and a few blacks. They didn't want to work with my parents. So my parents ended up saying, well, we just might as well sell the home, because us paying this mortgage for a home that the value of the home depreciated so much.
It was upside down.
That they just had to let the home go.
Yeah.
And, you know, they worked so hard for that home. They were living in that home for probably about 7-8 years. They had paid off, I think, around $70,000 to $80,000. And they had to let the home go, and the bank took it and sold it, and they actually made out clear where they didn't owe the bank any money, which was a blessing. But the point was I just saw how my parents were hard workers, following the law, doing everything the right way. And I saw how they were being discriminated against with that whole housing market crash. And then that was put on their record, and then they had to rent for like 10 years. And they just now messed up their credit, and they just now, 2 years ago, have been able to purchase another home. That's the America that people don't know about.
They don't know about it. And they're dying to be like it. And I'm saying, you know, hey, wake up and see. Even those who want to come, that's what I said, like you said, you feel freer here.
Definitely.
Definitely you going to be freer here.
Definitely.
By all means. But there are some things people need to be aware of that it's here, that you might, you know, the caste system.
Yes.
You know, it was what you said in your experience when the model agency wanted you and your wife to cut out the dreads out of your hair. This European woman wanted you to cut their hair because that doesn't fit the image. And you're like, I'm in Africa. And I'm in Africa, you know. That's the same thing I did when I was over here with me and my wife who was at the hotel, right? It's African Pride Hotel. And you walk in there, you got the African statues and you got the pictures and all that. And then when you get into your room, you have a European half-naked woman above the table.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
I don't know what that was about. But I do know one thing. I had them remove it. They removed it. You know what I'm saying?
Because there's some beautiful art here in South Africa.
Oh my goodness, the artist is amazing.
Yes.
Man, these brothers and sisters, man, who are artists are amazing.
Amazing. There is.
Amazing.
There's a guy, I forget his name. He always slips my mind. He's in Johannesburg where he was doing paintings. Oprah Winfrey flew all the way here to get a painting from him.
Mm-hmm.
He's so good. These South African people are very talented, and that's why if we could just come together, that's why I say make my channels, make Africa great again. Some Africans are offended by that. I'm not saying Africa isn't great. What I'm saying is that we can come together and make it better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And if we do that, if people were to listen to people like you're dropping little nuggets everywhere. You know, people just gotta pick it up. Because if we start coming together, because essentially what people don't understand, we really don't want South Africa to become like America. That is what we are saying, because we both have lived that American nightmare. So when Mystical Black is talking, he's coming from a viewpoint and a perspective of trying to keep you guys from following down the same demonic road and path that America's going down. Because I'll tell you something, America is sick. It's a sick place, the place where it's heading with all these agendas that they're trying to push on our kids, as we were talking about earlier. It's just not heading in the right place.
Well, and I say this too, is that my channel is really for the diaspora. And where the people get it twisted that feel as though I'm talking about South Africa is when I am sharing the heart of the South Africans, so that is education, how we learn from South Africans. That's to talk to the people.
Yes.
You know, the good is easy to find. Many people are tight-lipped about the bad. So if you're going to come to South Africa, these are some things that you should be aware of.
Yes.
The educational system that one of the teachers had talked about. This brother has an investment firm company. He was sharing about some of the injustices and stuff, because we have been torn down by racism in America. And so I know that we are very sensitive to that.
Yes.
So if you come here, like you said, and then somebody tell you to cut off your locks again, you need to feed the image, some of us would go off on that woman. You compelled yourself and held that until you got out of the building.
Yes,
and told your wife, what the world, we ain't getting rid of our you know? Like when I shared it, that the white guy here in a casino called a brother a monkey.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
You know, this is from an African American who him and his wife are here. They were there at the casino. Do you know what would have happened if one of us was called that here in South Africa? What we would have done to that white guy? We would be behind bars probably for half killing that guy. So these are some things that we need to be aware of. Ain't nothing against the South African.
Not at all.
It's just some of these things that we need to be aware of, because we have been battered and bruised and have been taken to limits that those who are coming to Africa wants peace.
Yes.
We just want peace.
And like you're trying to do, the main thing is healing as well.
We need healing.
We need healing.
And I believe the Africans can provide us the healing.
Yes.
I say that time and time again. You Africans
Yes.
are the ones who can heal us. When I say you can heal us, because God does all the healing, what I'm saying is this right here. When we know that so many of our African brothers, the first thing, every time I watch all these YouTubers, the first thing we say is, the people are so much at peace. Are us Black Americans at peace?
Not at all.
We don't know where to find peace.
Not at all.
We losing our mind. We're killing our own. We're killing our children. We're killing our husband, our wives. We are out here doing these crazy things because our backs are against the wall.
And you know, they say the peace is in the strip club. That's where the brothers want to go nowadays and throw their money in the strip clubs.
But when I talk to my brothers and sisters and see them, how they're able to manage with little to nothing and still maintain a meekness, still maintain the heart of love. I have had Africans give me a portion of their meal and they ain't had much of nothing. Invite me in their houses and have little to give. And I'm like, I am so ungrateful. How unthankful I am as a person who you think, you know, I'm supposed to have everything. And these people are showing and teaching me. Bro, you got it wrong, man. This is why
I shop where the locals go. I eat where the locals go. 90% of the time I do. Because I'm trying to get back that place of peace.
Well, actually, now hearing you say that, I need to do that because I think that was my problem coming to South Africa, was being in these two developed areas.
Yeah.
Because here, I can admit, I couldn't find, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I didn't find peace in South Africa. Because it kind of reminded me, the mentality is slowly transitioning to that money. All about the money, hustle and bustle.
That's what the system will do.
And that's what Johannesburg is making its way to. And so I need to go to those townships. My Cameroonian friend was telling me that I need to go in because I feel like I haven't really been able to connect with that part that you're speaking of.
Because when you in these areas like right here, you know, a lot of people, I'm quite sure, come in here to window shop and know they can't afford it. And so now you're in envy. You now all of a sudden this unrest comes within you and you start looking at people who's walking with the things, driving the cars, and you're bombarded with this, and now the peace is gone. See, when you go to the villages and places right here, these people are so humble, it's like, how simple of a life do they live?
That's what I need.
That's
what I need.
That's why, man, I say less is best, really. And some people will say, well, you got this money here coming in and you have that. Why don't you let it go? I earned that. But I don't put that in front of me to act as though that I've arrived or I'm better than anybody. What I'm realizing is that, wow, I can humble myself. I can be meek. I can be humble. That's what my brothers and sisters of Africa has been showing me. Wow. That is strength to me. Money ain't strength.
No, so true.
Money ain't strength. When you look at in America and we see our brothers and sisters, even white people who are poor. I mean, there are more poor white people. Don't understand that. There are way more poor white Americans than there are black Americans.
Yes, because they make up majority of the population. But
they
yes.
do. And they got the same arguments and complaints that we got about that system. They ain't getting let in. They're not. The system is keeping the poor. I mean, white folks call poor people poor white trash. Isn't that what they call them?
That's what they call it.
Oh, they're poor white trash. This is what they call them. Their own color people. So the system ain't biased just to black folks.
No.
It's prejudice against anybody who just ain't got it. Oh, they ain't got no education. They uneducated fools. Oh, they didn't go to these schools. They didn't go to private. They didn't go to these, what they call the elite colleges.
Yale and Princeton.
Yeah, what they call those colleges?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the word.
Somebody help us.
Ivy League.
Ivy League schools.
Yes.
You know, this system makes you feel less than when you can't get to where you think the elite, those who consider themselves, have everything. Then you begin to become depressed.
Yes, I went through that.
Yeah. Because now it's like I'm doing everything possible to try to get where I can get, because this whole lie of these stores and cars and buildings and houses. When I worked 3 jobs and I finally thought I accomplished something getting in the middle class, and I moved into these white areas, and then it's like I found out that these white people who was my neighbors, their parents gave them money for down payments for the house that I worked 3 jobs for. That my wife was working and their wives didn't work. They were home with their children. I said, what?
And some of them inherited.
They inherited all this money from the free laborers of our people. And I'm like, what? And they're working jobs that only bringing in minuscule money, but their parents got the support of the wealth they're passing on to their children. And I worked 3 jobs.
That's sad.
It opened my eyes to say, this ain't where it's at. No, because when I got to that place and I realized I still wasn't happy. Happy for what? Had to be sitting next to a person who I thought I was trying to be like. And I find out they don't give a hoot about me. Wished I'd move out of the neighborhood. Not all, but there were many of them that wished there wasn't. I learned a lot of things about white people by being around them. You know, in America, Africans, it's like 70% white.
Yep.
Versus here, y'all are like 90% Africans.
There you go.
So we know the tricks to trade. We know the schemes to scam. We know the behaviors and how the things are because we're surrounded by it. So the one thing I learned right here, Jermaine, was this right here. When I was living in the white areas, what I found was they always size themselves up. What neighborhood do you live in? What job do you have? Because I had a barbershop, and see, some of them would bring their kids in to my shop because I had hired white barbers. So I hired the white barbers so that they could feel comfortable coming into the shop. So they would come in, and the mothers would sit there and have conversations with themselves, the white women, right? Oh, so what neighborhood do you live in? And I would, look, family, this is what I would do. See, when they would go around, that conversation go around, see, I had lived in the prestigious, the top neighborhood. So when I would say the neighborhood I lived in, they couldn't stand it. They couldn't stand it. But I realized I had to stop saying it because they stopped coming to the shop, bringing the money in.
They talk about as economical envy.
Exactly. So I had to stop telling where I lived because of the fact they would not even come to support the business.
That's sad.
Because they saw that, oh, we're bringing this brother money and he lives in the top neighborhood of this whole city. So, but I learned they always want to size you up. What type of job you got? And then, you know, everybody's trying to wear the clothes that each other have or wear something better than and all that right there. And I realized these people are miserable. Miserable. Then I find out behind the scenes, some of them, not all, but some of them sleeping with each other, having these orgies and all this perverted stuff.
Very.
In that community. I learned a lot while I was there. A lot. People talk about white people get along, they stand together. No, they don't. They're self-destructive just like any other.
That is very true.
They envy and trying to get more than the other and looking down at one another and all that right there. I've watched it, I've seen it.
And that is why when we don't want to see South Africa turn into America is because that what you're saying, that envy, that it's like that's what they're pushing on these phones, these apps, these Facebook, IG. It's all this superficial stuff that they're constantly perpetuating.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't want. That's what I like these young kids here. Like in America, the young kids now, they just literally walk around with their phone in their hands or got earphones in their ear and nobody's talking to nobody. But here you still see people talking. You still see people communicating. You know, that superficial lifestyle I lived in. And what's sad though, is a lot of black people like my parents, they push that on you because they feel like that's the only way out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they want you to go to those Ivy League schools. They want you to get the degrees. My mom loves saying, you know, my son, my brother has his MBA in finance and he works in down in Orlando, a nice company. I forget, Advent Health. I forget the name of it. But my mother loves telling people that about my son. Yeah. And her daughter graduated, and my brother's wife is a nurse practitioner, and all these things. And with school, pride. With pride. And school was never a good, I couldn't do good in school. Yeah. I struggled.
It was not your thing.
It wasn't my thing. Yeah. So I went to 2 years in college, and then I quit, and I just started working. And at times I wish I would have maybe went that route because my brothers and sisters, their life seems to be a lot more comfortable than mine. Yeah. But I just learned, like you said, a lot of times, like my brother, so much debt. He came out of school with over $260,000 worth of debt. Yeah. And now he gotta work for now that debt, for that house that they have, for that Lexus, for that car note. It's like, and like you said, when I started seeing that in America, I'm like, yo, this is literally a rat race that's never ending. And then when I saw what happened to my parents in 2008, I said, oh no, the game is rigged.
They lost that house. Yeah. They lost the house. You know, in America, they say that this is the consumerism in our mindset. After 7 to 9 years, the average person will go ahead and will sell their house and buy an upgraded house. Trying to keep up with the Joneses.
So true.
So that means then that 30-year mortgage that you got, you shot it in the foot of that 7-9 years and you start over again. So when you get in your 60s, you still paying a mortgage. And you can't even retire because you got to pay the mortgage and everything else that come along with it.
Yes, it's a lot.
And so it's always about competing. It's all about comparing yourself to who's got what and making yourself seem as though that you got all this stuff right here. Look, I tell people this right here. My wife, you know, I have my wife laughing because I'm like, if people watch my videos, I wear them same old shirts. You know what I'm saying? I travel with 5 shirts. I have 5 or 6 shirts, 3 pair of pants. I'm simple like that.
That's
I don't need those clothes. I let all that stuff go. I left all that stuff, threw away a lot of that stuff, and I'm like this right here. I love where I can just pick up and go.
Yes.
I have nothing to weigh me down. I don't have not a bill to pay back in America. I got rid of debt when I was 30. I was 39 years old, I think it was. Don't owe nobody nothing. Anything I buy with my own money. Didn't want no loans, no nothing. And some people call me crazy. Man, why you use your money? You should use bank money. No. See, the Most High told me I should owe no man. That's scripture. I should owe no man. And if anything, I should be the lender, not the borrower.
So true. So
that when COVID came, all those people who were I knew cats who was investing in properties, you know, and I had rentals and stuff like that. They lost most of their rental properties because they couldn't afford to pay them. Because nobody was paying rent, but that mortgage was still due.
Was still knocking.
They had to pay. So what happened? They lost it all. And me, I was not affected. Mine was paid off with the money I had.
Wow.
But yet they called me crazy. Oh, he don't know what he's talking about. He's crazy to use his own money. Oh, yeah, okay, all right. Well, what happened to yours? So that 20% a month, the 20% the bank requires you to put down, you lost that. So you got 4 or 5 properties, and you got over $100,000, $200,000 in down deposit. The deposits you had to put down on down payments on those, gone. The bank is laughing.
Yep.
Because the bank, that's what the bank wants, is failure.
Yes, that's so true.
They want you to fail. Because they know it. Because they can turn around, even though they say they're not in the business of reselling of housing and stuff like that, they know they can always sell it for a profit. They always can.
And luckily, I was able to get out of debt when I got that lawsuit. I paid off my student loan real quick.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. I'm debt free. I don't owe nothing in America. And it's crazy how I'm the same way in thinking. But it's like people do look at you like you're crazy.
They do.
They like, you know, like, man, because when you learn what they're trying to create and keeping you in this vicious cycle, in this rat race. And then they, you know, now you know, oh, I gotta pay the car note, I gotta pay this, I gotta pay that, I gotta pay this mortgage, now you willing to sell your soul to make that money. And so we, you know, I'm just thankful though to be out of Babylon and you know, getting some peace, getting some healing, and not having to watch over my back. You know, I feel so much better and free here that it's just, it really is. Every African American or Africans within the diaspora should come and visit. Just come and visit. You don't have to move here. Just visit.
Visit the motherland. I couldn't end with anything else beyond that, but besides that, what you just said. We're going to come to a close. And it's been, man, grateful. I've been grateful, man, to be in your presence this morning. And definitely, man, while I got, you know, this last week, whatever here, that hopefully we can team up together and explore South Africa. I reach out to the South Africans. Send an email to me, goblacktoafrica@gmail.com. You want to show me a village? I want to get out to some of these villages. To see how it is away from the rat race of the city. Because I'm told majority of the people who work here into the cities or these towns, they have to take a bus ride an hour out to even get to where they live. Some of these townships may be 30 minutes away, or what have you, depending on the location where you are. But yeah, I want to get out there and see how really our brothers and sisters out there, that peaceful living that I know exists. Yeah. So what's your closing words for the brothers and sisters? Besides, come and visit, you know.
My closing words is, I want to say this to the Americans and let them know that, you know, your children, the problem that I see with the African Americans is they see people kid getting shot, George Floyd, and this one and that one, and we moan and we cry. But it's getting to a point now where we need to stop complaining and start making solutions. And that was the main reason why I came here, because I was done. I used to go and march and protest and go lay out in the streets and do all these things. And I realized my ancestors have been marching since the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. I said, I'm done marching and protesting. And, you know, somebody called me a coward in America for wanting to leave America. But it's fine. I'll be a coward. But I want African Americans to start coming up with solutions and realize that there's another way out of Babylon, because you know, a lot of your children are targets, especially your black young men. They're targets. I've been there personally. And so, you know, just think about giving like Mr. Go Black to Africa. Think and connect with people like this and try to see how you can possibly figure out what works best, because Africa is not for everybody. Africa is not for everybody. What works best for you and your family moving forward in the future, so that we can stop seeing our brothers and sisters being murdered constantly on the TV. It's just getting sickening and tiring for people to constantly see their brothers and sisters being mistreated.
Yeah.
And we just got to start coming up with solutions and start doing what we need to do, like Marcus Garvey was all about.
That was beautiful. You know, in closing, I appreciate each and every one of you all chiming in. Those right there who may disagree with me, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their own perception, their own opinions, and their own views. And those out there who have subscribed to, you know, some of the words that I've put out there, you know, I know that there are people out here who are hurting, who are looking for answers, directions, you know, motivation, and all that there. I need it myself. You know, I remember, you know, people try to make you feel guilty for what you do. They want to ostracize you, make you feel as though that you're on the outside and they're on the inside. You know, some people's like, why you running, like you said, you know, people want to make you feel that about, you know, you being a quitter or living in America. I remember this guy had said, you know, to me, he's like, you just running away, you're running away. And I'm like, in your perception, I'm running away. To me, I'm running too. I'm not running away from anything. I'm running to peace, joy, happiness.
Yes.
I'm running to that. Who would not? Every man. There is not a man on this earth who will not try to go to freedom.
Yes.
Freedom is the number one thing every man will argue and fight for, is freedom. And that's where I ran to, the motherland, Africa. This is your man. This is your...
Man, boy, man.
He said, man, boy, this is your man, like it's your man, right?
Yeah, this is your man, not your boy.
All right, go black to
Africa.
Peace out, family. Y'all have a beautiful day.
Okay.